This is the March of Dimes' 25th anniversary. Your national foundation, formerly the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis, with your dimes and dollars, developed both the Salk and Sabin polio vaccines. Two great successes that are fast wiping out the need for the iron lung. Remember them? Catherine Erickson does, for she is still using one. Your Los Angeles chapter of the March of Dimes at 2635 Griffith Park Boulevard played an important part in the dual polio vaccine triumph. Marx Tavella, executive director of the local chapter, frequently meets his switchboard girl, Harriet Doyle, and helps her from car to wheelchair to switchboard. For Harriet, like many others, the Salk and Sabin vaccines came too late. March of Dimes funds are also working to assist birth defect children, both through research and development of specialized care. Orthopedic Hospital in downtown Los Angeles has long helped handicapped children, and due to orthopedic's fine reputation, it was only natural that your national foundation selected this hospital for its first locally supported birth defects clinic. Mrs. Jessie Kropp, a registered nurse, opens the door to the recently dedicated clinic. These legs belong to Robert Bowden, a Life Scout, member of Boy Scout Troop 880 in Redondo Beach. On a recent 5-day hike with other scouts, he walked 65 miles, keeping up with his fellow scouts. Robert is 15 years of age. Yes, a congenital amputee, as you can see. He is now on his 4th pair of legs, and as he grows, will need about 2 more before he gets permanent ones that will then be replaced only when they wear out. Robert was born with congenital anomalies, and Orthopedic Hospital has helped him advance from a hopeless cripple to his present stage. Nurse Kropp brings in Marcia Ann Elliott, age 8. She lives in Wilmington, and now is a very active young lady. Miss Eleanor Levine, physical therapist, helps her up and shows where, at 5½ months of age, a sac on her back was removed. Marcia is a spina bifida case. Yes, a birth defect. Now, watch this. Marcia plays the organ, loves to square and folk dance, and taught herself by way of television to do the twist. How do you like that? Good for any 8-year-old, wouldn't you say? Karen Lyles has suffered 54 broken bones in her short 13 years. She is a victim of osteogenesis imperfecta, brittle bones, and is known in the hospital as Handle with Care Karen. Dr. Thomas A. Redden is showing one of the smaller casts that were made for Karen to protect her. A plastic shell was formed in which Karen eats, sleeps, and lives. X-ray pictures, pointed to by Dr. Redden, show in the first 2 taken in 1959, front view of legs. The thin bones look washed out, and the left tibia fracture shows a break being supported by a padded wire frame splint. The other 2 X-rays were made in 1962, showing a healing fracture with a moderate amount of congenital deformity, with improvement shown, however. The femur is somewhat thicker, and the shaft of bone widened. Karen can still give us a cheerful look. Many of us think of arthritis as an affliction confined to age. This is wrong, for hundreds of youngsters suffer from this crippler. Here at White Memorial Hospital, a March of Dimes clinic has recently been established, and good work is in progress. Research for a cure or prevention of arthritis has been going on for some time now. In the meantime, treatment study for those afflicted is vitally important. E.N. Rice leads the way. Looks like a gymnasium with all the equipment, and actually that is a good explanation. There are other things here, too. Diane Hagen has suffered from arthritis for 10 of her 16 years. Diane is being given a paraffin bath treatment by Mrs. Marilyn Pearson, registered physical therapist. The paraffin bath is electrically heated and contains paraffin and mineral oil, the latter to make it easier to peel the paraffin off the hands after the treatment. The dipping in and out continues for some time. Would you be smiling after such a hot hand dipping? Diane does. Another treatment for sufferers of arthritis is the Hubbard tank. Diane is still going through her treatment work. Large agitators can be adjusted in many ways, making the water circulate with a rush, like the rapids below Niagara Falls. Well, nearly that fast. These huge stainless steel bathtubs are equipped so that most every variety of water treatment can be given to patients. Mrs. Pearson follows through with the treatment, and while Diane is still in the warm water, manipulates fingers, wrists, and muscles. Certainly, Diane likes the water. Christina Morena, age 9, still comes in for treatments for rheumatoid arthritis, although she has been able, through a great deal of properly directed exercises and treatments, to make good, sound physical progress. Here we get a smile from Christina. Now, magically, she is dressed and ready to head for home, school, and whatever important matters concern the normal 9-year-old. This is Rancho Los Amigos, where Dr. John Affelt is in charge for the county of Los Angeles. Here, before polio vaccines started stamping out this dread disease, there were as many as 70 or more iron lungs constantly in operation. Rancho Los Amigos now has a March of Dimes-supported arthritis clinic. Here, many mechanical devices and special and novel treatments have been developed. For example, watch Fred Jones. This 9-year-old polio victim makes excellent use of the various devices that have been developed at Rancho Los Amigos, a majority of it through your generosity in giving each year to the March of Dimes. Fred has what is known as a suspension feeder on the left, and on the right, a basic long Oppenun's hand splint and a suspension sling. This lad, in order to get around with the other children patients, taught himself to breathe, although many of the Rancho staff feared Fred would always need constant artificial help. More elaborate and expensive equipment, constantly being worked on and improved, is shown in this close view of a CO2-powered arm device. You can observe as the arm moves that a patient can accomplish a great deal with this device. The patient controls the movement, as you can see the left hand working the finger-operated valves. Naturally, each patient has to have something a little different in the way of control placement, etc. Hour after hour of research, study, testing, and development have gone into these mechanical aids. Another type of equipment used, although not discernible to the camera, are ball-bearing feeders. Rosemary Rivera uses this type. Rosemary is just 7 and is also a polio case. Her playing with dolls by means of a right flexor hinge hand splint should make you glad that you kept on supporting your March of Dimes. The reclining type wheelchair is widely used in wards like this one at Rancho Los Amigos. Frank Perry, age 12, is a polio case, although not crippled as extensively as some, still sufficient to confine him to the hospital. For many of these polio victims, the vaccines were just being released, and polio struck before they had a chance to benefit by the discoveries that are putting a stop to the disease. Some put off taking advantage of the vaccine protection. But no matter why or how, we must continue to care for any youngsters stricken. Frank helps prove that there can be cheerfulness in hospitals. Occupational therapy is exceedingly important to patients who have, in most cases, reached the maximum in their recovery and must continue learning how to make the best use of their remaining physical energy. Here again, devices have been perfected, especially in helping some severely handicapped to feed themselves. It is difficult to explain, Jeanette Stone, head of the Occupational Therapy Department, declared, but just being able to get food from a plate to one's mouth makes all the difference in the world to morale, renewed determination, and willpower. Dorothy Wilson, one of the many staff members in this department, explained that these devices naturally are beneficial to young and old alike, and are needed in many cases by victims of arthritis, polio, and birth defects. The gentleman enjoying lunch has a left finger-driven flexor hinge splint, a right CO2-driven flexor hinge splint, and built-up handles on spoon and fork. This is the schoolroom, where young hospital patients do their best to keep up with their education despite various types of handicaps. Marion Buck, principal of the Rancho School, herself confined to a wheelchair, does a remarkably efficient job. Little Rosemary Rivera, whom we saw before, attends school regularly and is learning her basic ABCs by attempting to turn the pages of her little school magazine by herself. Paul Lynn is 8 and is alert and progressing well with his studies. When told he looked a bit like Willie Mays, it pleased him considerably. Alice Lopez, now 10 years old, attends class wearing her halo. A halo, in this case, is generally used after an operation on the spine and is a device to keep back and neck straight. Alice reads and studies and makes good use of a hand mirror, not to primp or look at her own beauty, but to look at you and, of course, the teacher. She flips that mirror around, gives you all a wink, showing she appreciates your March of Dimes support, which is helping her to improve, and in this case, leave that halo behind. More of the schoolroom shows another teacher in the distance, Jane Delaney, an arthritic patient, but by profession a teacher, working with students. Principal Buck, in the foreground, is busy with Willie Norris's arithmetic problems, and Danny Mundy, age 7, listens in and supplies the right answers if Willie misses. Not all of the young patients at Rancho attend the school in the classrooms we just saw. Looks like Tommy Rolfs is ready. Coming through the doors on her bicycle is Christine Johnson. Attendants Katie Rollifson and Kay Schumerhorn, along with other patients, await the arrival of the tram. All of these patients are physically able to attend public school and do so. The hospital believes that the more these handicapped children can get out and associate with normal children, the faster they'll be able to realize the problems they face, and the better they will be able to cope with them. The attendants help them to board the tram, as does driver Solon Henderson. The pupils, upon arrival at the public school, remain in their wheelchairs or on their bicycles, but attend classes that their age and aptitude entitle them. So away goes the tram, and the students, eager and happy. As they passed the camera, they were all singing at the top of their lungs. This is Children's Hospital on Sunset Boulevard, where still another March of Dimes supported clinic for birth defects will be opened. Dr. Virgil Hansen, medical director of the Rehabilitation Center, comes out to meet Bob Wilkinson, chairman of the executive committee of the Los Angeles chapter, National Foundation, March of Dimes. The first official papers are presented. So your dimes and dollars are needed more than ever to handle these very necessary local jobs. Please give generously. This is Ed Lyon thanking you and urging you to join your March of Dimes now.